What's going on, y'all, and welcome on in. As you can see here, Nemesis is leaving in about 8 days as of recording this, and the TOF official Twitter just announced earlier today that Frigg is officially confirmed as our next limited or red nucleus banner unit. So as soon as Nemesis leaves, we're going to be able to summon for Frigg, and Frigg, of course, is the pink-haired, super tall samurai waifu that's appeared many times in the story. I won't say too much if you guys haven't finished the story to avoid spoilers, but she's appeared multiple times, has been there super early, and she is confirmed next. Now, the major thing I want to talk about, the first thing I want to talk about in this video is, if we're to believe the data mine that has been seen, we're going to cover all this, so stay tuned. She's going to have some major differences in our version, the global version, compared to the CN version. After that, we'll talk about, is she worth summoning, what kind of units she might work with, all that good stuff at the end, okay? But first, let's go ahead and watch her video, talk about the major differences between our version and CN, and yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all, I got the video loaded up right here. Let's watch it together. I'll give my first impressions, and let's check out the Frigg 45-second video.
Isn't it rather
hopefully the volume's good.
to cast judgment on what
So September
life
1st,
is or is not?
8 days. She looks great, guys. Aesthetically, I think she's one of my favorites. And by the way, this is actually the C3 skin. You know, when you get 4 copies total, 3 additional dupes to get that unlocked skin. And by the way, guys, I already see 6 Nemesis, so more than likely, if I do summon for Frigg, I'm just going to keep her at C0 more than likely. But stay tuned until the end of the video, because I actually have a nice guide we're going to cover that talks about the best bang for your buck, the best budget advancements, right? The star levels to get for units that are already out, as well as upcoming units on the CN server. So make sure you watch till the very end. So she looks great, guys. I love the vibe. I love the look. Her style, her grace. All of it, man. I think she looks cool. You can kind of see a little bit of the frost element, but it's really overshadowed by that kind of holographic, that pink aesthetic, you know? Cool animations, though. Very flashy. A lot of spinning. Just looks really good. Really, really nice. This is her skill 1, I think, or her activated weapon. All right, guys, there you have it. What do y'all think? Okay, so let me actually open up another Twitter post here, guys. They just have, so this was 12 hours ago, right? They officially announced Frigg is coming September 1st. I need to show y'all this. So this was actually data mined 2 weeks ago, and they have a picture here. Is this the only picture? Let me double check here, guys. So yeah, it seems like this is the main one. The reason I want to show you this is, in this data mine for 2 weeks ago, they actually show Frigg here having frost resonance. And why that's interesting is, if we go into any wiki, I like to use this one, guys, towerfantasy.info, big shout out to them. If you look at Frigg here, she doesn't have the frost resonance buff, the passive. Instead, it's actually contained on Saki Fuwa, another unreleased character, which I don't think we're going to get for a long while. So Saki Fuwa is the ice resonance character. Ruby is the flame resonance character. Lyra is the physical resonance character. And then, of course, we already have Nemesis, who is our Volt resonance character. So, like I mentioned at the start, in my Nemesis video, I talked about why Volt resonance is so important. Why, if you want to play Samira Crow, you really want to pull for her. And I think it'd be nice, and why I think this data mine is true. At least it makes sense why the Tower Fantasy, is it Tencent? Whatever, the official Tower Fantasy people, whoever is making the game, would want to bring Frost Resonance to Frigg early on in our global release. Why? Because the earlier they get us the Frost Resonance, the earlier people can start making their Frost teams, their Volt teams. Next, hopefully, like Flame team or Physical team. And then people can start to feel like they're on even ground and play units they want and make more and more teams that have this buff. Because it is pretty significant to just have this, especially when you start stacking, right? 2 to 3 Frost units. Like in Nemesis, you could be running 2 to 3 Volt units if you really wanted to with an SR weapon. But for now, I hope this is true, and that'll mean, guys, her value will skyrocket. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk about. If they do indeed give her Frost Resonance, as seen in this data mine, if we look at the other picture here, her other passive is Domain of Frost, and then the Fimble Winter is her #1 skill, I believe, right? So we have Domain of Frost, we have Frost Resonance, and we have Fimble Winter. If we look at Frigg on the wiki here, the towerfantasy.info, there's no mention, guys, on the data mine of Ice Shell. So I'm wondering if this is replaced with Frost Resonance, and we kind of just lose out on having Ice Shell, which fully charged weapons will freeze the target for 2 seconds and leave it frostbitten for 6. Breaking the Ice Shell causes additional damage, 151 of attack, while frostbitten the target's weapon charge rate is reduced by 50. So let me know what you guys think. If this, number one, do you all think we're going to be getting the Frost Resonance? I overall think it's a good idea, but some of y'all maybe just want us to get exactly what CN has, so you don't care about this. Maybe you would rather wait for the Saki Fua character to have the Frost Resonance. I think it's better to get it earlier on. That way Frost players that want to run Tsubasa or Meryl, we'll talk about team comps at the end, you know, can start getting their Frost Resonance teams online earlier in 8 days or so. So let me know what you guys think if this is coming. And number two, do y'all think, if anyone knows for sure, by the way, or if you have more info, if you're a veteran, let me know what you think about Ice Shell getting replaced with the Frost Resonance, because it seems like on this data mine, the Frost Shell is missing, and it would make sense, right? Not to give her both Domain of Frost. To give her 3 passive skills would be kind of crazy. So it makes sense that they would replace this with the Ice Shell. But overall, that's Frigg. She's a very good damage dealer. If she does indeed come with Frost Resonance, I think she's going to be a must pull for anyone that wants to use ice units. And honestly, this is going to segue into our next section, guys. Even if you are a Volt main like me, if you pulled Nemesis and are running Samira Crow, I think you're going to want to start developing a second elemental squad as we move further into the game. As it gets more difficult, I think having multiple elements is very important, as we're already running into, right, 50% reduced damage from an individual element type. When that Volt 50% runs around, I feel so weak. It's nice to have a second element, and honestly, I've heard later on you're going to even need maybe up to 3 different element squads, because sometimes there will be 2 resistance types. So that's going to be a doozy. That'll be way later, but for now, I think it's already smart to start thinking about what your second elemental squad will be. You'll probably main invest your number 1, put the most power into them, and then have a second backup elemental squad, and then further down the line a third one. So if you think you want to run Frost, we'll go into team comps right now. Start thinking about picking up that Frigg, guys. Start saving up those red nucleus. All right, up next, let's just quickly talk about Frigg as a standalone character, and then talk about team comps that I think will work with her, or which of you guys that are watching might want to be pulling for her. So I mentioned if she comes with Frost Resonance, almost everyone that might run a Frost team later, if you have a Meryl or Tsubasa, if you like Coco Ritter as your healer, right? If you run multiple Frost units, you're probably going to want to pick up Frigg if she does indeed come with Frost Resonance. If she doesn't, then I think she's going to be a little bit more niche and definitely not as universal. But overall, she's a damage dealer that buffs Frost weapons on top of potentially having Frost Resonance. And that's kind of her overall thing. It's just solid Frost damage. And there's one thing I want to talk about up next, and that is, let me pull this up for you guys. This is a very good resource, so make sure y'all bookmark it when I find it. Where is it? Right here. Let me quickly give a shout out to the authors Maho, Lula Lila, and Citus. Apparently, I guess they're in a Discord called Ada Cafe, so I will have this link in the description below. But this is just a nice resource for knowing how many advancements are good for not only the characters we have now, but upcoming characters as well. It kind of tells you which ones are recommended, like how far you should go, which ones are good at 0 stars. And one minor disclaimer, they even say it here, changes might happen due to global rebalance. So Nemesis already got rebalanced for our server, and now we're seeing Frigg might even have a different kit compared to what she is in CN, okay? Not only are the character orders, they're released different than in CN, we're going to have completely different rebalance and potentially even completely different skills. So take this with a grain of salt, but for now, I think you can still take some good stock into it from people that have played a long time on CN server. So if we want to just, let's focus on Frigg for today, guys. You guys take your own time to check out characters that you own, or maybe upcoming characters. But if we can see here, the color-coded legend up here says green is useful. The gray is kind of just base weapon stats, meaning they just get that, you know, slight bonus damage. Orange is okay, and then red is kind of like whatever, not good at all. As we can see here for Frigg, here's the nice thing, guys, for you free-to-plays out there or light spenders. It says that Frigg works really well at 0 stars. So good for me, good news for me, good news for some of y'all watching. And then if you wanted to, additionally, she already works well, green at 0 stars, and then every additional star just means better damage, which is the case for most characters that aren't utility, like Coco Ritter or Zero. She just gets more damage, and it seems like it's worthwhile. The biggest ones being 0 star, 3 stars, and then 6 stars, where the 5 star actually being not good at all. 2 and 4 are the same for almost all characters. It's just that bonus damage buff, so it's always, you know, grayed out. So good news, guys. 0 stars if you want to take it to the limit. If you think you're going to be a Frost main, then take her all the way to 6 stars if you guys are that crazy. Whales are going to whale, so I don't need to really recommend anything for y'all. All my free-to-plays or budget players, we can just keep her at C0. That's probably what I'm going to do in the beginning, as Volt is my main team, and I'll primarily just be using her as a Frost secondary team. Alrighty, boys, let's wrap up with some last-minute thoughts, kind of recap what we learned. So, in 8 days, we'll be getting Frigg. Potentially, she's going to be completely different than what they have on CN, having that very, very coveted Ice Resonance buff for you Frost teams. So those of you that skipped on Nemesis, or you're still holding off, if you really like Tsubasa, if you really like running Meryl, that's kind of the comp I really want to run, is running a Frigg plus Tsubasa, 2 DPS, right? So we get that bonus. Frigg also gets bonus ice damage, swapping between ice weapons. And then we run Meryl as our shield breaker plus kind of tanky sustain, as she has some self heals. I think that team sounds super fun, and that's probably what I'm going to run as my secondary element squad for now. Back up to my Volt main squad with Nemesis, Samir, and King. So, guys, let me know if you're excited for Frigg, what you think about her looks-wise. If you have any additional questions, I'll try to answer them. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.